When a new artist like Drake drops, everybody and their mothers obviously has to pay attention and listen. Everybody's going to take time in their lives to just sit down and listen to this brand new music that the number one artist in the world right now is dropping. So this long awaited For All the Dogs album has finally dropped. And with that being said, a lot of people putting out all the reviews already. From big creators to small creators, everybody seems to be putting out the reviews currently, because when it comes to this type of music, when it comes to this type of artist, everybody wants to put out exactly what they think immediately. Everybody and their moms is putting out a review. And with that being said, one of the biggest podcasts in the world, the Joe Budden podcast, put out the review this past weekend, where Joe Budden ended up criticizing the album, and he ended up saying this.
This is like Yachty rapping. This is like he rapping for the children. And that's my... Yo, dog, I had to look up how old this was when I finished listening to the album. You are 36. Your birthday is in 20 days. I Googled that too. You will be 37 years old. Get the away from some of these younger niggas and stop these 25-year-olds. I'm listening to the album. Yo, you're a 37-year-old billionaire. I get it that you appeal to the world. Loving about Cole, like my shit is happening in reverse. Like with Cole, he used to rap about kid shit. I'm a grown ass, like real Jersey City. I want to hear how you lost your fucking virginity. And then he started to grow up. And then the rapping sounded like an adult rapping. I'm want to hear adult Drake rapping for adult people.
No.
He ends up criticizing Drake and telling him that he needs to act his own age and just stop hanging out with 25-year-olds, that he's almost in his late 30s at this point. And why did he let J. Cole body him? It just seems like he's not putting forth his own abilities on his own tracks. Joe Budden seemed to be very, very critical of what was going on with Drake's album. And obviously Joe and Drake ended up having a lot of beef throughout the entire years, starting back in 2016, where Joe ended up dropping a few diss tracks against Drake. And Drake ended up dropping a subtle diss in one of his songs with French Montana back in the day, if you guys remember that going on. So Drake and Joe Budden definitely have a lot of back and forth throughout the entire year, so this is no different. Drake replies via Twitter at Joe Budden, "You have failed at music. You left it behind to do what you were doing in this clip, because this is what actually pays your bills." Wow, that is crazy. That is true. If you guys didn't know, Joe Budden retired from music a long time ago and started pursuing his podcast career, which is successful and is one of my favorite personal podcasts that I listen to on a weekly basis. So this is kind of, in a sense, true. For any artist watching this, just remember you're watching a failure give their opinion on his idea of a recipe for success. A quitter give their opinion on how to achieve longevity. You switch careers because the things that popped into your brain had you broke living check to check, and the raps you write have 450 men showing up to your shows in dusty jeans to screw up their face to Mood Music 29 and pretend you are the GOAT. Drake is definitely not holding back on this one. He's definitely going at Joe Budden at this moment. Obviously Joe Budden had his Mood Music mixtapes all along the way. A lot of people, he had a lot of like a core fan base, and it's kind of funny that Drake's kind of shooting shots at him for that, trying to say that Joe Budden obviously trying to present himself as some sort of GOAT, or at least in this fan base he felt like a one of the greatest of all time. And Joe Budden definitely seems to be a high caliber rapper from all his tracks that he put out. He is not just pump it up guys, so we got to give him that at least. Please, to any artist that's doing what they feel is right, don't let these opinions affect your mindset after the fact. This guy is the poster child of frustration and surrendering. Wow, the poster child of frustration and surrendering. Wow, this guy is definitely shooting shots at him. Can't believe that Drake is putting him in the way of like, hey, this is like a crybaby. This is somebody who's obviously giving up on their dreams or giving up on what they want to do. I mean, Joe Budden just said that he was tired of, doing the music. He did love it. He did love it at one time, but then he found something new and he had to pivot out of it. At least that's Joe Budden's side of the story. You retired and we never hung up your jersey. We don't even remember your number. See, this is the one of those that, like, that one even hurt me, man. For somebody to be retiring and nobody even remembers who or what number you played as has to be, like, that has to suck, man. We know you for doing this. You withdrew from rap not because you accomplished all you needed to. It's because it wasn't working for you. I mean, Joe Budden would even say that himself. I would say that is like a criticism he puts on himself, because that's kind of something that he talks about a lot, is that, just wasn't working out. He loved his music. He loved making raps, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't what he ended up doing when everything came to its end, I never want anybody in this generation to think that the whole everybody's entitled to her opinion is a real thing. This is a man projecting his own self-hate, and the fact I did and continue to do everything he wanted to do for himself. I gotta say, that is true that you're entitled to your own opinion. I believe that. I mean, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but the fact that a response is not going to come out of that, or some sort of like frustrations, if it's something very, very critical, something unfair to the person, they are as well entitled to their own opinion. So, you know, you say something and don't expect somebody not to say something back to you. You're going to have to expect that, you know. Obviously, this is a perfect example of that, where Drake is responding to Joe Budden here. If you need to put it in simpler terms, I own a 767. He owns a modest house in the 973 and flies first class on special occasions. Oh my God, he's definitely shooting shots at Joe Budden at the moment. You know, obviously Drake is at a different higher caliber when it comes to money wise. And I mean, what can you do? Drake is the number one artist in the entire world. I don't know how somebody can compete with that at this moment. So, I mean, what could you say, Joe Budden? He definitely shot shots at you, and he's definitely dissing you in this moment. I wonder what really made Drake say this. This is kind of unexpected as well, but Joe Budden has been known to be very critical of him over the last couple of years. So maybe this is a culmination of all of that, and this is kind of like Drake's frustrations with Joe Budden, and just kind of showing like, hey man, like shut the fuck up, you know what I mean? Joe Budden ended up seeing this comment, and he ends up replying as well. He said, "You'll grow up sooner or later. Father Time is undefeated." Obviously, Joe Budden is definitely going to be hurt from this. Joe Budden, from what I understand, he ends up masking a lot of his anger and frustrations. He ends up being just as much as Drake is petty, Joe Budden is petty as well. He kind of has a sleight of words, a sleight of hand when it comes to this type of shit. So I'm really excited to see the next podcast, see if he responds. Obviously, he's going to have to respond. I mean, what he's going to do, just ignore all that? He's definitely going to respond to this. Drake continues to be firing shots at the Joe Budden podcast when he says via Twitter, "I thank God for this life and not having to come to rush conclusions on Best Buy podcast mics." Drake is going to continue to shoot shots no matter if he needs to keep reloading the clip or not. I gotta say, one guy who just caught it straight out of nowhere was Parks. Drake says, "Sorry, one more thing. Imagine listening to Mark Zuckerberg tell the next generation about good verses and turn beats." So Drake is going to shoot at everybody here. He seems to know like what is going on in the moment. I don't know if Drake watched the full podcast or not. Maybe he just watched the clip. I don't think he's going to be wasting his time with all that. But overall, I gotta say, Drake is one petty king. I mean, we saw this with For All the Dogs album. He's definitely one petty guy. He's definitely going to get his revenge back. He talks about this all the time. He definitely holds grudges. So, you know, this is not unexpected of Drake. So we'll have to see what ends up manifesting from this. I'm sure there's going to be something, but now with Joe Budden retired, he's not going to put out like 6 disses for him. You know, that time is over and that time is gone. So we'll have to see how Joe Budden ends up responding here. I'm really excited to see how he's going to digest all this information that was just given to him. You know, we'll have to see how these two are going to handle it out. Maybe Joe Budden doesn't answer at all. Or maybe Joe Budden does a whole segment. We'll end up seeing what type of position Joe Budden puts himself in and what choice he's going to make here. Is he going to take the high road, or is he going to go lower than Drake did? We'll have to see. Obviously, Drake's album is out right now, so guys, go check it out if you want to. I definitely did. I enjoyed some few tracks. Not my favorite Drake album in the moment. I still need to digest a little bit, maybe put out a review as well. But if you enjoy this video, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you smash that sub button. And we're trying to reach 500 subs, so with your help, we could definitely do so. So with that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.